the congregation was in flight. You ain't never seen such flapping going on in a place in all of your life. I mean, big old long arms and short arms, little old skinny arms and fat arms. It was all, everything was just flapping in this place. That was an outer sign of an inner conviction to rise to the height of your calling, spread your possibilities, and soar above your adversities and fly like the eagle you were created to be. Look at your neighbor and say, I'm an eagle.
This is the potter's touch.
From time to time, I hear people writing to me, or they'll hit me up on Twitter and they say, I went through 5 years, it got wasted. I gave 10 years into that relationship, it was wasted. I worked for that company 20 years, it was wasted. You are wrong. This message says nothing that you've been through shall be wasted. Stop mourning over where you've been and use it to get on with getting on to where you're going. Nothing that you've been through shall be wasted. You can always tell when God stirs a nest. All hell breaks loose. And like the little eaglet, when the nest first gets stirred, the little eaglet tries to sit where it used to sit, and it has to jump up. Tries to sit over again, and it has to jump up. And it tries to sit again, just because something doesn't work in your life doesn't mean you're up under satanic attack. I'm gonna say that again. Just because something doesn't work in your life doesn't mean you're up under satanic attack. It could be possible that you're trying to rest in where God used to be. Seeing yourself through the lens of who you were will stop you from seeing yourself through the lens of who God called you to be. And sometimes God has to stir the nest because the purpose of that person, place, or thing in your life has been completed. And there's nothing more frustrating than trying to raise up something that God is trying to kill. Nothing more frustrating than trying to be somebody that God is trying to crucify. You have to have the liquidity of thought, and the nimbleness of mind to transition from how you once saw yourself into where God is calling you. If you saw yourself as a sedentary eaglet sitting in a nest, enjoying the comfort of your nest, it's hard to see yourself soaring. After all, soaring is more work, requires more muscles, requires more effort. You expend more energy. It's easier to lay back in your nest and say, feed me. Feed me, love me, acknowledge me, open doors for me, make a way for me, me. And all of a sudden, the food stops. When the food stops, it's a sign for you to move on. Mama's not dropping it in your mouth as good as it was. I rebuke the powers of the devil. I come against it. Can't you see the little eaglets praying? I come against Satan's power in the name of Jesus. I come against, I rebuke the powers and the principalities over this region. Mama should have been here by now. I come against the Satan. You delaying my blessing. You holding up my blessing. I rebuke the power. Where Mama? Mama should have been here. I rebuke the power. The principalities that holding it back. Prayed and prayed and prayed. What do you do when you pray and it doesn't work? When you rebuked it and it doesn't stop, you find yourself, I'm hungry. The food ain't coming, and here comes the problems, and the thorns are coming up, and I don't have the nourishment to rest in the place I used to be. I don't have the grace to do it. I always knew when something was over, I just didn't have the grace to do it. The grace. Grace will cover your eyes against what you're going through and make it easier to manage because you don't feel the weight of it when you have the grace to do it. Yeah, when you have the grace to work 2 or 3 jobs, when you have the grace to do it, it doesn't bother you like it would bother you because you got a grace to do it. You got a grace to put up with something that other people couldn't put up with. You got the grace to do it. But when that grace stops and all of a sudden you notice those thorns and thistles start coming up, now you got to move into another dimension. And Moses' thorns and thistles was the murdering of an Egyptian man, and his people knowing it and talking about it and rising up against him and not letting him forget what he did. People will attack you. They will always bring up what you did. You'll have to live with what you did all your life. That's why you ought to be careful what you do. That's good. That's a tweetable quote right there. Yeah, that right there. So somebody say that right there. They were bringing up what he did, and all of a sudden he had to get out of the nest, leave the palace and the marble floors and the gold columns and the big fans and the grapes being fed to him, wine being served to him, somebody to bathe him, somebody to teach him, somebody to train him, somebody to take care of him. All of that shut down. And he escapes into the desert, a dry place, a barren place. And while running from his past, he runs into his purpose. While escaping how he was once defined, he now runs into a new identity that he never had before. What would the correct term for it is an epiphany, whereby you begin to have an awakening to something that you didn't know. A spiritual, an epiphany can be a spiritual awakening, whereby it changes the lens through which you see everything going forward. You don't have that every day. You don't have that every week. Just periodically in the space of your whole life, you have those spiritual awakenings that change, say, in his case, the next 40 years of his life was changed by one moment. One moment changed the next 40 years of his life. A bad moment, an ego-stirring moment has placed him in the wilderness, and all of a sudden he doesn't know who he is. Now this is a big deal because his identity has always been a problem. He was a Hebrew boy, but he didn't grow up with the Hebrews. He was a Hebrew boy raised with the Egyptians. He was already up under an identity crisis. He was too Hebrew to be Egyptian and too Egyptian to be Hebrew. I want to talk to people whose background is complicated. I want to talk to people whose resume has to be censored. Let me try them. They don't understand. I want to talk to people who only tell half your testimony. There are certain parts of your testimony that are available for human consumption. Look at somebody and say, but it's complicated. Let me just try something. Daddy was a good man, but it's complicated. Mama was a good mother, but it's complicated. I grew up a happy child, but it's complicated. Whenever you hear people throw that but in there, there are some extenuating circumstances. Means I can tell you about this part, and all in all, it was good, but there was some other stuff that I don't want to bring up, but that other stuff helps to shape who I am just as much as the good stuff helps. Oh God, help me. And Moses was his own man. He was strong and mighty. He'd been raised. He was strong. He was powerful. He was educated. He was intellectual. He was respected in Egypt. But he wasn't really truly an Egyptian. And though he was raised with them, he really wasn't one of them. And he was a Hebrew to a degree. And yes, he was a Hebrew, but it wasn't like he could go hang out with the Hebrews, because Hebrews didn't like him because he had the smell of the Egyptians on him. He had got the nerve to have an Egyptian accent. Ooh, you don't talk like one of us. You talk like you an Egyptian. You know how people will hear your speech and say you talk like the other people.
Still to come on The Potter's Touch.
He had robes he couldn't wear, jewelry he didn't need, training in science that is totally unusable in this environment, because all information is not transferable from one world into the next. You understand what I'm saying? This is not that. So you cannot come over into this and act like that and stay. If you're going to survive in this, you have to give up that and become a student again.
Don't settle in your nest when you should be soaring. It's time to fly.
Every time I try to sit down with less than what I was created to be, something sticks me and I gotta get up and try again. There are certain situations that God will make so unbearable that you don't have to discern that it's time to go. It's almost impossible to stay. What's wrong with you is all those people who knew you win. Because if they knew you win, they'll hold you to back then. I gotta go. Don't let the counterfeit experience of being good stop you from the pursuit of greatness.
For helping us reach others with your best gift, we would like to give you Time to Fly, a 4-DVD set. And when your gift is $125 or more, receive our Blessed and Loved calendar, a journal for recording your experience to new heights, and our Blessed and Loved Inspiration Cup. When you visit our website or call 1-800-BISHOP2 today.
I love to hear married couples talk about how long they've been married. We've been married for 50 years and people always clap. You know, they always clap, you know. They clap, you know, and they say they've been happily married for 50 years. They're lying. Yes, I said it, I meant it, and I'm here to represent it. You ain't been happily nothing for 50 years. Not for 50 years. No, not every day and every week and every minute and every moment. For 50 years, you're telling us about the good part. You're not telling us about the tough part. You're not telling us about when she spent the money that she was saving up for something else. She went out, and so you're not telling us about the extra pocketbooks up under the bed and the shoes, and y'all fussing about that. You're not talking about that new secretary he got and why she standing up looking you in the face like she looking at you. You're not talking about he always spent all the money and he don't take care of business. And you ain't talking about that you married a mama's boy and you're sick of him over your mama's house all the time, but y'all stuck it out and you made it over and you saw, oh, I know you married people can't say nothing because you can't blow your cover, but there's some divorced people in here that have got my back. Hey! You know what I'm talking about. It bothers me because if you buy that baloney that people serve out, you'll expect to see that in your life. And if it doesn't work like that for you, you'll give up on it because you're expecting it to be like what you saw on TV. But in real life, you got to go through some ups and downs and some crooks and some crannies. And sometimes you stay together, but it's complicated. And you own the house, but it's complicated. They come in my house all the time. They say, oh, look at your house. You own this? I say, yeah, this month. I own it this month. Thank you. I own it this month. So far, I own it right now. Oh, y'all don't hear what I'm saying to you? I own it, but it's complicated. I own it, but they got the notes. And now, as messed up and complicated as his life is, now that's been messed up. Bad has gotten worse. That's why you got to watch out about complaining about bad. Because it was kind of complicated in the palace. It might have been bad because on the inside he had some deficiencies and insecurities and areas where he didn't really feel like he totally belonged, but he was eating good and he was sleeping good and they was cleaning up the room and washing his clothes and pressing his little undies and stuff. It was real good. It was good considering, you know, what all he'd been through. He had a little bad stuff to kind of fight, but he was doing pretty good, and then bad got worse. And now the eagle has stirred the nest, and he has to climb out of the nest and start running through the wilderness, running through a wilderness he had never been in before.
My Lord, my Lord.
He didn't know nothing about survival techniques for the wilderness. He was raised in the palace. And there he is out there in the wilderness trying to figure out, now which plant can you eat? How do you get water in the desert? He didn't know which cactus you could suck the water out of. And he had to figure it all out because he was in a new place. Has life ever put you in a new place and you don't know how to function in this new environment? And what was complicated has become a crisis. Now he's free from Pharaoh. Pharaoh is behind him. No problems there. Got that straightened out. They trying to kill him. He escaped all that. Got the victory. Got the victory. Victory. What am I gonna eat? Have you ever had the victory in one place and all hell breaking loose in the other place? And you could shout about this part over here. You sure did beat that old Pharaoh out, but things, I don't know what in the world I'm gonna do here. Got a little situation coming up on the 5th. And he was in the desert. And God left him in the desert for 40 years. He wandered around out there and ran into some Midianites and Jethro, and Jethro kind of took him up under the wing and said, don't eat that, that'll kill you. Eat that right there. Is that right there? When you get hungry out there in the woods, you eat that. You dig that up and suck the roots and get some moisture out of it. You'll be able to survive in that environment. He said, I didn't learn that in all my schooling. They didn't teach me anything about what root to suck water out of, how to guard myself against the heat of the sun, how to survive in a dry place. I didn't know nothing about that. And he got her hanging around Jethro. Jethro said, I got some work for you to do. Work? What is work? Do you not know, I've been raised in Pharaoh's house. We had people working for us. And all of a sudden he's introduced to work. And of all things to be introduced to do, I mean, he had robes he couldn't wear. jewelry he didn't need, training in science that is totally unusable in this environment because all information is not transferable from one world into the next. You understand what I'm saying? This is not that. So you cannot come over into this and act like that and stay. If you're going to survive in this, you have to give up that and become a student again. You can't be important out of your element and walk around with your chest stuck out just because you were successful over there playing football. Don't make you a star over here having church. Just because you're successful in church doesn't make you successful in NASA. Anytime you step into a new arena, you got to humble yourself and become a student again. So he's over there walking around like the Prince of Egypt, all important, and Jethro asked him to go out there and shovel that sheep dung. And this is the test of pride. The test of pride. Can you do what you gotta do where the Lord has placed you to learn what you gotta learn so you can move from one level to the next level to the next level? If you don't pass the test, you'll never complete the class. So you have to keep taking it over and over and over again because you didn't learn what you should have learned the first time. Who am I preaching to? I'm talking to somebody right now. Jethro told Moses to lead the sheep. Oh, smelly, dirty, stinky. Sheep look good on them pictures and stuff, but I was out in Jerusalem and I actually got to go out there where the sheep were. See, when you see them in the picture, you can't smell the picture and stuff, but when you actually go out there where the sheep are, yes, it'll make you carry some Glade and some Lysol and some Pine Sol. And you know how white they are in the pictures and stuff? In real life, oh, no, that's photo enhancement. It's a kind of, it's not odor, it's odor. This is a French term. Yes, indeed, they should bottle this for insecticide or something. I know they don't have to worry about mosquitoes. Nothing would want to bite, nothing smell like that. And he's in this environment. And I know the enemy must have been saying, where is your God now? You out here, I thought you had a mighty destiny. Your mama called you Moses for being drawn out. I thought there was a king and a mighty man and a general in you, and all you going through is survival techniques for a desert you didn't even come up in. Look at you running around here. You the king of the sheep. Every so often you'll go through a period in your life that seems like all of your real skills are being wasted. It will feel like you're not being used to your highest potential. It will feel like you're living beneath your privilege. And if you're not careful, you will secretly see yourself as a failure because you don't see yourself operating in the way that you dreamed that you would. And he's just running around there saying, at least it didn't kill me. And at least I escaped Egypt. And I'm making the best of a bad situation. And all of a sudden, he has an epiphany. Just walks up on it. Wasn't fasting for it, wasn't praying for it, wasn't talking in tongues, just walked up on it, didn't even expect it, just blew his mind. You know, God is the master of suddenly. I'm gonna say that again. See, if you understand that God is the master of suddenly, that means sometimes your life will take a turn you never even saw coming. It won't be no gradual progress, no evolution that leads to a revolution. It'll be suddenly, straightway, immediately, out of nowhere, one phone call, one meeting, one person, one time, one job, and your whole life. Everything about the next 40 years is about to change. I don't know who I'm talking to, but get ready, 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 get ready. Thank you for allowing me to just interject a thought or two, and we'll continue right after this.
Don't settle in your nest when you should be soaring. It's time to fly.
Every time I try to sit down with less than what I was created to be, something sticks me and I gotta get up and try again. There are certain situations that God will make so unbearable that you don't have to discern that it's time to go. It's almost impossible to stay. What's wrong with you is all those people who knew you win. Because if they knew you win, they'll hold you to back then. I gotta go. Don't let the counterfeit experience of being good stop you from the pursuit of greatness.
For helping us reach others with your best gift, we would like to give you Time to Fly, a 4-DVD set. And when your gift is $125 or more, receive our Blessed and Loved calendar, a journal for recording your experience to new heights, and our Blessed and Loved Inspiration Cup. When you visit our website or call 1-800-BISHOP2 today.
Partners, don't miss Come Home for Christmas, our special holiday weekend at the beautiful Gaylord Texan Resort. We can't do any of the things we do without your support and prayer, and I don't want you to step into another year without us being able to pray over the mandates of the Holy Spirit.